Razvan says, I'm struggling with building self-love when trying to fill in the awesomeness inventory in my mind. Many times I felt short. I've always struggled to complete things. I don't have a great or important career. I wasn't great at dating. I haven't been a ladies' man, and I've missed out on quite some opportunities. So far, I've run a couple of half marathons, but not a full marathon. I have a good, decent life, but I don't feel like I've made it. When we get into phase 3, you're going to understand how this fits together, why we set ourselves up to fail based upon our rules and our values. One of my private clients for a couple of years was one of the most accomplished men I have ever had the privilege of being connected with. His resume was 90 plus pages long. He'd achieved more in his life than most people will in 10 lifetimes. And he came to me, do you know why? He felt like a failure. Now, we worked on that, as I'm sure you can imagine. But what's going on here is not the fact that, oh, well, I did some half marathons, but if I do a full marathon, then I'll be better. Then I can put something on my inventory. That's not the game. Right? I wasn't a ladies' man. I'm actually happy you weren't a ladies' man, and so are most of the ladies here. Right? You had a different sense of presence. Scoring yourself against crap like books like The Game is not how to be a man. It's not how to appreciate yourself. We have different paths. Right? I don't have an important career. Do you remember the movie It's a Beautiful Life or Wonderful Life? It's part of the syllabus. Go watch that when it comes to understanding who you think you have to be versus who you really are. You wouldn't be here if you weren't freaking awesome. You wouldn't have found your way to this program if you weren't already in the top 1% of 1% of people looking to be a better version of themselves. Don't confuse journey for destination. There are so many things you can feel awesome about, including being here, including having the courage to put a question like this together. Including the fact, half marathon. How many people have never ran even a half marathon? Give me a wave. Huh, look at all those failures. Right? You get the idea, right? It's not about the journey. I'm off on the weekend to the North Pole. I'll be doing our next Q&A from somewhere in the Arctic, whatever. I'm hoping I'll be able to get the internet connection. I'm sure I would. But, you'll hold a space for me if I can't, and we'll reschedule. But I am seriously behind. I've done 4, maybe 5 training runs. I'm going to do a 20K tomorrow. I'm going to try and do a 30K on Saturday, and then fair enough. My cardio is fine, but at 42 kilometers or 26.2 miles, there's a lot the body needs training for. Forget the mind. My mind will get me through anything. Right? My cardio is fine. I rode an ocean at some point. I think I probably told you that. Anyway, you get the idea. But the body itself, on that level of consistency, can seize up. The lactic acid buildup can be huge. You can get cramps, and if you don't get your electrolyte balance right. A marathon's not a joke. Right? I say to people, it's just a marathon. Right? I can handle that after what I handle on the Atlantic, but there's certain things you need to train the body for. Otherwise, it's going to make what I'm hoping is going to be an enjoyable experience something but more of a struggle. And that's my question. My question is quality questions. How can I enjoy this at a higher level? Well, I also have to be prepared that, let's say I go on my 30K training run on Saturday and I pull Achilles tendonitis because I'm trying to compress too much in one go, and that's a possibility. It happened before. I'm not even going to make the half marathon. I've waited a decade to be able to do this. If I get medically unfit to be able to do it, or I have to quit after 6 miles, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to find so many reasons to be grateful. So many reasons as to why I'm awesome. One of the reasons you're awesome is that you're okay not having that many things on your awesome list. How freaking awesome is that? You get the idea. It's a mind shift. Buddy, you're on track. Don't try to compete with anyone. Certainly not people you put on pedestals like me. If you're trying to compete with me on doing crazy stuff, I feel sorry for you. Right? I wish I was trying to compete with people that didn't do crazy stuff. My life would be a lot more simple. Right? But I'm not in the competitive. I'm following my truth and what I do. Follow what you do in your truth. And if you're walking that path, you are way more on track than most people out there trying to prove stuff. few more questions, see if we've got the time. Kenneth says, Lord says, you mentioned a key skill mastering intimate relationships is restoring loss of connection when breakdown occurs. Why? We didn't do this very well in my family. I'm not sure what good looks like for a skill. Could you give a few examples of how this is done, or what to say, especially in situations where trust is betrayed? And then I've been going over and over what you say at the end of Straight Talk 9. Find the one and develop friendships with the many in the areas that the one doesn't fulfill. Only after going through the process of accepting their faults and disowned parts of me that I've attracted in order to reclaim and be more whole. How can I accept and reclaim these parts? I'll address the question as best I can. So restoring relationship, right? You've got no right to stop somebody else being in a mood. You have if someone's more committed to being right than being happy, they've got to work through their own stuff. Your job is to be the invitation. If you're holding stuff, then it's not going anywhere. So, but if you both feel disconnected and your job is to work on you so that you drop the cortisol, you drop the need to be right, you drop the insistence that they apologize or they have to whatever, and your job is to reach out by not making them wrong. Now, I'm a magician. You'll learn more about this in module 9. Yeah, humor is a big way I can do it. Sometimes if you're with, more of an organizational energy, what we call guerrilla sovereign like Nadia, humor is the wrong call, right? You see some people make light of grieving at funerals by trying to crack a joke, and other people are disgusted. This is no time to joke. They're the guerrilla sovereigns, right? Magicians are trying to relieve tension with humor. It's part of what we do, right? You get into this on module 9, right? But depending on the archetype that person is, you need to be able to look into what their strategy is. Sometimes all you need to do is turn around and say, honey, you know something? You mean way more to me than a silly argument. I miss you. Can I give you a hug? I don't want to be right. I don't need to be right. But, I hate it when we're not together. I hate it when I feel I'm sleeping in the Arctic, right? Yeah, and I'm sorry if what I said triggered something. We've all got our faults. I'm not perfect. You knew that when we got together. I don't want to be perfect. I want to be your imperfect lover. Let's give me a hug. Let's go somewhere that we enjoy. Once the cortisol's gone, once people are it's relaxed, and we all know that makeup sex is great. Some people have arguments just so they can do that. I'm kidding. That's not a strategy. Right? But from your perspective, tune in. If you're coming from a disarmed perspective rather than a defensive perspective, it's the invitation for people to lower their armor. When it says, how do you accept and reclaim the disowned parts? Good news is we've got 2 more phases to go. You're going to learn.